Hi everyone, this is Arkady Fridman with Motus Media at Advertising Week here in New York City. I am super excited to have Jonah Stillman with me, a Gen Z guru in space, himself a Gen Z person. I have a few minutes to talk to him and kind of get an understanding of what he's up to, what he's doing, and help marketers to better understand this whole space. Hey Jonah, it's great to be with you.
My pleasure.
And we're shooting this kind of old school with only one camera, so audience kind of bear with us. We'll edit it to try to make it as good as we can. Super excited to be able to be here with you. Maybe you could tell us, the audience, a little bit about what you do aside from being a Gen Z guru. Maybe explain to who you are, what you do, and what exactly is Gen Z.
Absolutely. So my name is Jonah Stillman. I'm a 19-year-old entrepreneur, and my company, Gen Z Guru, is an agency that helps brands better understand the next generation of employees and consumers. So through doing proprietary research and data, we are sitting on the first 3 national studies that look at the workplace and marketplace trends of my generation, the first ever global study comparing my generation all around the world. And my company is about 5 full-time employees, and we help brands in a variety of industries really get to know who my generation is through consulting-based projects and public speeches.
Very nice. How long have you been doing this?
I started my company my sophomore year of high school as almost an experiment to see what happened, and then by the senior year of high school, I had the opportunity to write and publish a book with my dad, David Stillman, with HarperCollins, and I decided at that point in my senior year that I wasn't going to go to college and pursue this full-time, and so I guess this is almost the end of year 3 that I've been doing it.
And explain to, the audience, who Generation X is, Generation Y. Tell everybody, who is Generation Z and why are they important to marketers?
Absolutely. So Gen Z is the generation that follows the millennials, and we're defined as those born between the years 1995 and 2012. About 72.5 million members are in Gen Z, and the biggest misconception is people tend to clump young people in a group and they assume we're all similar, when in reality, if you compare my generation, Gen Z, to the millennials, or Gen Y as you called it, we are drastically different. And the theory behind generational differences is, people tend to think it's just ages and you're born into a generation, when in reality it's the events and conditions that happen during your formative years between the ages of 12 and 20. Millennials grew up during economic prosperity, the tech boom, the go-go 90s, if you would, and they were really seeing the world in the development of the internet. It was pretty exciting times, and you compare that to my generation. We were born post 9/11 in the midst of the 2009 recession, so we have a much more realistic attitude towards life in general. We're much more realistic consumers. We've become really good at defining what we want versus what we need. So as marketers look to engage my generation, it's really important that they differentiate between ourselves and especially the millennials.
Gotcha. So I have a small agency, boutique agency. We talk to brands that are either B2B or consumer brands. How do we reach your generation?
I'd say, of course,
through advertising.
Advertising, obviously, when people think of my generation, they think as us as the social media generation. And I would say that it works. Engage with us on social media. That being said, make sure you're engaging in a way that's different than others. Oftentimes, I talk to brands and they'll take one message and they'll blast it across all the platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. When you got to understand that we're going to these platforms for different things, and we expect customized interactions with brands. We expect that in 2018, a brand is going to know who we are, and they're not going to put a product in front of us unless it is something that they believe we want. I always say it'd be unlikely for me to see a Facebook ad for a beauty product or nail polish, because brands can know what I want. So I always expect that if a brand is paid to get something in front of me, it's going to be relevant to something I may want. But make sure you're customizing your messaging. Don't blast the same things. I always say a death sentence is Gen Z are seeing the same message over and over again across platforms, because they'll just assume that everyone's seeing the same thing.
What platforms is Gen Z using? Is it Snapchat and Instagram?
I would say right now for marketers, Instagram is becoming the biggest play, especially now that they added direct to website shopping. You can now you can tag a product in a picture and say, these new shoes are $149. You click right on them, take to the website, and it's becoming so much easier for us Gen Zers to make direct purchases. So if you're looking to engage my generation, we spend a lot of time on Instagram. It's where we go to find out what our friends are doing, what brands are doing, what celebrities are doing, and it really does carry a lot of influence. So I would say that Instagram is carrying a lot of weight with my generation.
So if I was to look at social media and I was to divide my spend 100 grand between Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, what would you say the percentage?
I would say spend no money on Twitter. I'd say Gen Z is not going to Twitter for product engagement. It's more of a news platform. It's too wordy, not a lot of content on Twitter. I would say you gotta go, maybe, in all honesty, a third on each, because we are still going to each platform. A lot of times people say we don't use Facebook, when in reality we are using Facebook, and right now, in my opinion, Facebook has the strongest algorithms to target a very specific demographic of people. You can get the exact customer you're looking for as a marketer. We're going to Instagram, like I just talked about, and Snapchat is becoming more and more efficient and effective in the play of selling products and news sources, as their swipe right feature now has all sorts of advertising and content plays. So I think Snapchat's definitely on the earlier stages compared to Instagram and Facebook when looking at marketing, but they'll definitely are and continue to become more relevant.
So we know social media, we got 33% on those three main social channels. What about programmatic and like traditional, banner advertising? Are you guys blind to those ads?
Well, I'll tell you, I talk a little bit something called My Generation Lives in the Phygital World, where the physical and digital worlds are becoming more seamless, where we truly don't see a difference between whether I'm buying something in a store or online. If I go to the grocery store and add something to my cart or add to cart on Amazon, for my generation, only knowing a world of technology, it's becoming more seamless. So I always say, focus less on where your ad's going and more on the messaging and the purpose behind it. And yes, if in-person advertising works, if we see something like anyone else and it's interesting to us, we will interact. But in today's world, the power and reach you have on social media just goes so much farther than a traditional advertising.
Gotcha. You said that your agency has a lot of research and data on what works, what doesn't work. Let's say I'm a smaller brand. I don't have a huge budget, and I want to be able to reach your audience. What are some implementations of creatives or ads that you would suggest that would work really well?
I would tell you that if you're looking to engage Gen Z consumers and you don't have a massive budget, whether you're a startup, you're another Gen Z entrepreneur looking to engage, the next consumer, spend what you have. And I think that, once again, I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, but if you look at the way you can reach social media, whether you have a budget of $100 or 100 million, you can reach a certain demographic of people, and you can really target that, and you have the ability to reach a certain demographic of people, and the more frequent you do that, obviously, hopefully your revenue continues to expand and grow, so you have the ability to keep running ads. But I would tell you that if I had $10,000 to spend on advertising, I would put it all into social media, 100%.
All social media, okay. That puts kind of the marketing mix on the
and I can share. Right? Yeah, I can share a quick stat. We know that 90% of Gen Z's purchases are influenced by social media. So we see something on social media, we will interact with it before we buy it, or if we see something online, we'll go to social media to see if other people have bought this product.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
19.
You're 19 years old, so you obviously know about your peers in the industry. You haven't done a lot of marketing yourself. How did you get into this? How did you find out, how to actually do this?
Right, so my business partner is my dad. I work with him. We're partners in our company.
Is your father a marketer?
Yeah, marketer, journalist. He's had a background of actually studying generations. So when I decided to work with him, we started this company, and it actually started when I was a sophomore in high school. I did a research project on Gen Z in general for school, and it fascinated me for a couple of reasons. One, because I was looking into my generation, seeing what we're going to be like as we grow about in this world, and more so it was fascinating because there was so little to find that I found that as an opportunity to say, hey, let's go do the research ourselves.
Very cool. So we're here at Adweek. I know you were on a panel. What was the name of the panel that you were on?
I actually spoke. I did a presentation yesterday it was about the digital world marketing to Gen Z. Can't remember the name of it. I apologize. And spoke yesterday, and then just spending some time here at Adweek.
Yeah, any takeaways from the show, from the event?
A lot of cool brands here. And I'll tell you that if there's a group of people I've seen that are likely going to be on top of marketing in my generation, it's here at Adweek. Incredible people speaking, incredible brands backing this event up, and it was an honor to be a part of it, and I hope to continue collaborating in the future.
Awesome, Jonah. It's a pleasure to see you.
My pleasure
to meet you.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully we'll do some kind of collaboration with some brands in the future.
We'd love to.